Vi tilbake med Jobreg live. Første sending for 2019. Vi har gått hardt ut med at I dag så skal vi presentere 4 studenter som har bachelorprosjekt hos oss fra Høgskolen Kristiania. Dessverre så er de blitt syke, og noen måtte jobbe, så vi har ingen av de her I dag, men vi skal ha et innslag med de hver sending fremover. Annenhver fredag blir sendingen nå. Vi har forandret fra tirsdag som vi hadde før jul. Nå kjører vi annenhver fredag klokka 2. Neste sending blir da 8. februar. Men I dag skal vi faktisk snakke litt om cybersecurity, og se litt på du som jobbsøker, hva du bør være obs på, og se litt på hvordan vi ligger an på den biten der med GDPR og disse tingene. I den forbindelse så har vi vært I kontakt med Kapus, og vi har med oss da Arne Henning, Underhaug Luktu, som, nei, Underdal Luktu, unnskyld, som da på jakt etter denne type kandidater, og det et stort behov for det, som jeg har skjønt. Og vi har også fått ifra EY, en sikkerhetsekspert, cybersecurity manager Nicolas Ramirez, and we are going to switch to English, because you prefer to speak English.
Easier.
Yeah. So we hope that this will be okay, and we'll try to follow up in English. And welcome to Jobreg studio. I think this is fascinating, and it's a little bit scary because we have heard of things going on, that my information could be stolen from a hacker, and it's quite a big impact that could be. So from my point of view, I would like to discuss with you guys where we are, and maybe we could start talking about what kind of attacks is there now that actually could happen for for me as a job. If I was looking for a work and I have a profile on LinkedIn, and what is happening now? Do you have any?
I guess for someone that is applying for a job, that could be anyone. All of us normally could be looking for jobs or apply to jobs, and it's to be aware of the information you're sharing.
Yeah.
That you're not just sending your CV around to anyone. Who are you sharing your information with? Is this company trustworthy? Is a recruiter? Which information are you including in that? Not beyond your experience and your expertise, but are you sending, for example, your full name, your contact information? Who are you sharing that with? So it's a bit of being aware of that, and that your information can be misused by a third party if it's shared in a responsible way. So that's kind of the main thing candidates should know. And even for companies receiving this, you can also notice when how sloppy you can be with your data if you're just sharing way too much or what you only need to.
Yeah, could this be a obstacle or something for me if I was applying for a job that before it was easier to just share, and for you guys as recruiters it's important to find people and get as most information as you can to see if this candidate fits your goal, but could it be an obstacle now that it's harder for you guys to find people? And
well, I don't know if it's an obstacle for us finding people. I think there are things you should be cautious about sharing, and things you shouldn't be cautious about sharing, or you don't need to be cautious about sharing. So, personal information, anything that has to do with phone numbers, social security numbers. We'll touch on references and their contact data, things like that. You should be very careful about sharing. But I think in terms of competences and what you know, what experience you have, what education you had, and where, and things like that shouldn't be. I don't think that it's going to be it's not going to be dangerous to share. And I wouldn't be too worried about that actually. But I think more sort of personal information I would be cautious about. But I'm sure Nicolas will have more information on where and what you should be careful about.
Yeah, and we're going to touch more into that. But right now, you are out there seeking for experts like Nicolas.
Yep.
Because in society, and in every business is a bigger need, I think. And you have experienced this.
Yeah, we've seen how the demand, like in EY, we deliver this type of services to many clients around the world, and of course here in Norway. And it's interesting to see how the companies have been more aware every year, and they're also willing to invest more because they're realizing that this is going beyond only those regulated entities like financial institutions or so, but this is touching upon everyone. So this is there's a lot of opportunities there. There's a lot going on, different technologies coming to different attacks, just like the technology evolves in the way of how things are protected, also the attacks evolve in the same way. So it's interesting how we also adapt to protect our customers, the data and the information against those threats out there.
So your job is like, what do you do? Do you just research and...
We're actively trying to, when we get a request from the user, the most common is to help them to understand how they're managing their own information security, to help them structure what they have already in place. So they have, for example, the processes around it. And when you go to the technical part, we're actually trying, something that we do very often that people don't really know is we're trying to actually, when we get an agreement with the client and once we have everything in place, we're trying to hack their systems actively. We're acting like hackers. If I don't know if you guys have heard the term of a white hat hacker.
White hat hacker. Oh yeah, like a good or a friendly.
Exactly, it's a good intention, let's say. So
exactly.
The idea here, when the companies are reaching us to do this, is that we try to look for security vulnerabilities and issues in their systems, so they can fix them before a malicious user actually can do it. So it's I would say this is very interesting job. It's a lot of fun because you're trying to break things in order to make them better.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's again, all industries. So you get in touch with different type of systems and a technology that we use every day here in Norway and in the world. So you can know that okay, this is something that we normally use for, I don't know, buying some service online and so, and then you realize how we're actually making the products better and helping the clients to go get better in their information security.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's because I have this. I am a web developer as well. I built what is Jobreg today, and when you're working with like Jobreg, a portal with a lot of users, you always get these attacks. So we had to hire an expert trying to attack the page, to look for the holes that some. So it's and it's very, very important that everybody secure this. And when you are working, you have a lot of data of a lot of candidates. And do you have like any rules or the last 5 years, for instance? Did you do a lot of work trying to, with GDPR, make sure that you do this the right way?
Yeah, I think one of the sort of if we were to start in a sort of another end of that discussion, I think one of the benefits and one of the things that sort of been common about our side of the business is that establishing a recruitment company used to be very easy. You could, as long as you had a PC and a phone, you could sort of be a headhunter of any sort, and that sort of ended up with in Oslo being several hundred headhunters having a few or a lot of assignments for different kind of customers. And if you go back 5 or 6 years, I think this was sort of the more sort of the common rule in our business than anything else. Now, with the GDPR coming along, it's a totally different barrier of establishing a company. So obviously we had to do something about this several years ago, and we started by buying a recruitment manager from you guys, which helped us be GDPR compliant long before the rules were sort of imposed in the market. But it also had some impacts on us, for instance, reducing our internal database from 85,000 people to 25,000 people because of this. So I think when you are in discussions with a headhunter or a recruitment agency, as a candidate, you should be aware of this and then ask your recruiter, are you GDPR compliant? And how do you make sure that the data that I send you which is a lot of data, right? It's everything that has to do with your education and personal information. Make sure that this is taken care of.
Is the risk that like identity theft? Because if I get a profile from you, all the data you have about one candidate, you have the picture, you have everything, and you have information about the past, his life, education, and you can easily. It's very good info to have if I want to steal identity. So is this kind of a risky thing? Is that what I should be worried about?
That would be one of the risks, of course, like identity theft. As you said, if you have all of this data about someone, that's something that a malicious user might do. But you can leverage other type of attacks. If I already know, for example, if you are an applicant, in which university you are, maybe I have your address, maybe I just use that data to attack you in another angle, to get okay, let's see which assets you have, what can I get online about you, to maybe do a social engineering attack, which is, in information security, is attacking the people, it's trying to hack people. And if I have all of that data, maybe an attacker can make a call to your house and pretend they are calling from this X company that you want something just to regret maybe credit card information.
Yeah.
So you can use that data to create another type of attacks. It won't go only to theft, stealing your identity. So there's many opportunities for a malicious user of how that can be used. That data can also be sold in the dark web to whoever wants to do other things. So exactly, you have to think, and as you were mentioning, that's a very good thing, that you actually know where are you applying or who are you sharing your data with. Okay, this is a responsible company, it actually knows how to handle this data. The fact that if they know, for example, what is GDPR, okay, that's a very good signal. They might, if they just a couple of questions and they already don't really know what they're doing with their data, you can tell that they probably don't have very good processes in place, and that might happen to you. And that's, let's say, again, the bigger scale, because people think maybe, okay, big companies are being attacked, not me as an individual, but it could be. And how the data can be used, that can affect you, of course, directly.
Yeah. Interesting. We were talking a little bit about references, because that is not your data, it's someone else's phone number and email and stuff that you hand out. And in Jobreg, we actually have a field in your profile that you can fill out references with contact data. And is this right? Should we remove this? And is it important for you as a recruiter to get references in an early stage or at all, or what are your?
It's a very relevant question, and you should probably, I can answer it in many ways. And if you register yourself on Jobreg in the reference field, you should say yes.
Okay, that's it. Fill in yes.
Yeah, well, it's what I would do.
Yeah.
And our company, we would never sort of dream of calling up a reference without sort of agreeing with the candidate that we are actually allowed to contact this reference. And but we know that, and we have examples of it, that some recruiters or even some companies, they start a recruitment process with calling candidates references before they've even spoken to the candidate.
Okay.
Just to make sure. And which is obviously not the way you should do it, but it happens. So you should make sure that you don't give away that information before you've sort of agreed on the terms. And to look at it from another perspective, if I want to know something about you, I will just see on your Facebook page and on your LinkedIn page and see if we have any common people that we know, and I will call them anyway. So if you have somebody that wants to know something about you, they will find out anyway. But you should make it easier for them by giving out another name and another phone number. So it's I think the short answer to your question is that the field might be there, but as a candidate, I would never sort of give that information up front, and it's not going to get you the job.
No, exactly. No, it's very interesting, and it's honestly from my side, we have to do something about that, because if it's there, and you're not. A lot of people might put in a lot of things there, and there's no reason why we should store this data.
And we see this with especially candidates that are sort of rather sort of they just educated, for instance, that they don't know these rules, right? So
exactly.
they might think that to be able to apply for this job, you have to give up references. So they do it and without thinking about it. So being a bit of a guidance for that is good.
So a rule should be that if you want to be serious and you want to interact with serious people or businesses, you should don't give these references. You should just write yes.
On request.
On
request would be like.
That's a good advice that we can share. And also you mentioned that you would go on Facebook and LinkedIn to see if you have common contacts, so you would find someone as a reference. And I was thinking, we hear a lot of advices that if you're out there looking for a job, you need to have a good LinkedIn profile, and it's important. And is it safe, or is there any platform, or like I was looking for a Googling image of you, maybe because I'm making this promo video, but you were not easy to find on Google. You're not like a blogger that share a lot of things. Are you especially aware of what you're sharing?
I guess it's a bit of expected from someone that is working actively with this. It doesn't mean that you cannot have an Instagram profile or you should avoid all of this. No, of course you can have it. But it goes a lot to what are you sharing, what do you want the rest to know, and especially with whom. And so you can have a lot of things on your Facebook maybe, but is it open to everyone?
Do you go actively out and see to look who is this person to find out if there's a picture of me in a party and stuff like that? Would it these things? Honestly,
it's a good question. We don't do it, before taking you into a sort of recruitment process, but we always do it during. So if we find party pictures, or maybe you've liked, you might want to work for EY. We sort of happen to recruit security people for EY at the moment. So if you want to work in an EY and you have a lot of party pictures, or you've liked fishy pages on Facebook as a student, and you have an open profile, and somebody in one of our EY's clients Google you before you come into to meet them, they will certainly not be happy with this. So we don't disqualify candidates where we find this information, but we advise them to clean up their profiles. So it depends on what you want to do with it. We always check. We always check these. We call it background check. Which is part of our process.
I think it's kind of obvious, actually, what you're saying, that if I want to work as a cybersecurity expert with EY as a company, I should be aware of these things. Because
but do you remember what you liked 5 years ago?
No, that's the thing. But I also think it's changing these days. I think the younger people are much more aware. And I think it's a good thing that people are more aware. So we got these questions from one of our viewers, and it's saying like, what can a candidate do to protect his data? And this goes to, I think, mostly you. Like, what are the actions I should take to make sure? Is it a lot of work I have to do?
I guess, again, first of all, make sure that you're only sharing the information that is relevant. So you have your CV and, of course, as you said, of course, your experience, your studies, all of these things. But probably you don't need to share your personal number. That's something that is... Why would you need to think about... That's the mindset. Sharing only those things that are necessary.
Like personnummer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once you have that also, who are you sharing this with?
Yeah.
So you have your data and how, also the way you're sharing it. Are you sending it over email to whoever they tell you? Or there's a secure platform to share the file, for example. That would be better. So it depends, of course, the type of the job you're applying to, the company. So that will give you already some trust to see if they have a secure platform to share the files in a secure way, so you know that the file is not being obtained by anyone else, or maybe there's some man in the middle that might get your data. But at the end of the day, is be careful with what you're sharing. Share only those things that are necessary for what you are doing for the job. And then, of course, if anything else is required, I guess they will contact you, and then you need to think about that. What are they requesting? Why at this stage? Of course, if you're about to sign the contract, they probably need your personal number, of course. But before, why that would be something. These type of things. Just share only the things that you need to share, and how. How are you doing?
Yeah, but that's the challenge, you know, because when I am out there looking for a job, I want to present myself. I want to share, like, give some information, make my profile look good, you know. So it's kind of, I would be a very boring candidate if I just narrow it down to only the things I need to share, you know?
I think security goes a lot to that, like usability too. So you don't want to have this super crazy secure system that no one can ever touch, and what if I tell you that you need to have a 20 characters password for everything? Yeah. Then the ease of use is very difficult, and then but it's very secure. But will you remember it? So you have to change it all the time. So it's a bit also of common sense. So of course you need to create a nice profile. Everybody wants to sell themselves very nicely. The same the companies want to get very good candidates, and we're looking for that. But also be careful. Be careful and know that if you, for example, looking at a job in this area, you need to be aware and know again, who are you sharing this and so.
What do you think about this? Is it important for you? Do you like only look at the raw data about your experience, your education, blah blah, or because the person is very important? It's like, who are you, and those data you get from what you're writing, like more info.
I think it's a very relevant question, and I think to some extent you can control what you're sharing by sharing what you want to share. So you can share personal things as well. If you don't, because I think if you have too little information on your CVs or applications, people will look for it because obviously they know that there is more. For instance, when I have people applying for jobs that don't have any family information in their CVs or in the way they present themselves, I usually ask, do you sort of, because it's not because it's qualifying or disqualifying, it's because I think somebody that will try to hire you wants to know who you are. But I think you can share personal information as well, but share relevant parts of it, not everything. So you can still be selective.
Yeah. It's so when you are looking for more guys like him actually to work with this, and I would think it would be a good thing if you see their profile that doesn't have a lot of other stuff. So then you know that this is the right person for this type of job because he's aware and careful. I
think most candidates that are sort of educated in security or wants to work in security are very aware as well.
Yeah, you can actually see that from...
sometimes to the extent that they're invisible, so which is not necessarily a benefit if you want to get contacted to get a new job.
Yeah, so. Interesting. So we have another question here from the viewers. It's like, if my data gets stolen or I get hacked or I get somehow, my data is gone and I know that someone malicious have it, what can I do? What should I do? What I need to do to...
Well, first, if you know that it was gone, it's good to know how do you find out and who has it specifically. Because if you know that it was just, let's say, a big leak of information that went out, it's good to identify what it was. And of course, change what is, of course, if it's like your password, your credit card, or things like that, that can be easily changed and update quickly. But if it's your data, is try to, of course, to identify where it was, how...
I'm thinking it could take some time before you actually figure it out. Like
you might never know.
It might be half a year later if something appears.
That just like people and companies, that happens a lot. That the companies, they might be confident and say, like, I don't really need to invest in this because that never happens to me. How do you know? Maybe it has already happened or is happening. Because that's also kind of the point of the attackers many times, just to not be discovered.
Exactly.
It's difficult that you know that if your data has been leaked somewhere, but because sometimes these databases become like public, like these people where your data is somewhere in the dark web, and it was already there in some leak. You might already take be more careful the next time that you're sharing your data. Where do you think it was, and why were you including all that information?
I'm thinking that a lot of, when it comes to profile, you always have like an email address, which like is the identifier, because I have a lot of email addresses, but I only have one phone number. So it's kind of, should I like delete my profile somewhere, make a new email, and then could build a new profile and just
one of the tools that is given the new GDPR regulation is that you can actually request to the companies, so they need to tell you what they have from you. You can actually, every user now has this right to say, if I register in this in whatever company and I upload this information, I can say, hey, I want to know what do you have from me, and they might have the number or old number or an email or more, and you can. Okay, I just wanted to know, or you can say, I don't want you to use this data anymore. I'm removing my consent for you to process this data.
And they have to delete everything.
Exactly. So you can still, at least now we have that right, which before...
I think GDPR is very, very good.
It's challenging for the companies.
It's challenging, but I think a lot of companies are, if you use it right, it's a good thing for everybody.
Yes,
because we need to protect our data and stuff like that. So it's, I think we have gotten some very good, interesting points here. What is happening now? Is it getting worse? Do you have to be more worried? Or are we there that now we have people and the systems are so secure that I can just relax and I put my info there? You guys take care of it.
There's a concept that it says that there's not absolute security. There will never be. There will never be something that is absolutely secure and there's no way in. So you have to be as secure as possible, hopefully. And what is happening now in the industry is that first the companies in general are more aware of this, so there's more investment of this, there's more awareness. So it's getting better. But at the same time, as I said before, the attackers are also getting better. And there's more technology coming and new technologies. Of course, new technology might come, but were they thinking security when that technology came up? Maybe
so it's a race between good and evil, and it's like...
Exactly. So there's a lot of development in technology, as you know, in everything that we see, and just our phones is a very good example of how they have evolved in a very crazy line up every year. Every time we have more functionality, more things, more applications, and all of this is more data that is exposed.
But you are here now talking. We have cameras, and are you like is it introvert and extrovert person? I was kind of thinking these people working with this is kind of what kind of people are you in your team working with this? Is it fun to be?
Yeah, I think it's a very fun job, and if you at least for what I get from the team around, and we have. I know that the stereotype is that maybe we're in computers, we have hoodies, and we are doing this.
Not talking to anybody.
And of course, like we work with computers a lot. We have we were like techie people, of course. We study some type of engineering or security. So of course we like that. But at least in EY, you can mix this both business-oriented kind of thing and technical part. Because we have a lot of contact with the clients, which makes you develop also that part, and not you're not in this room just doing this thing, but we're doing that. We have our computers, we have our secure room, the Nordic Security Center. Yes, we're doing this, but also we have to go to the client and explain what we found and what is this, and that makes it a different kind of clients and industries, and that makes it a very dynamic job. So you get in contact with different things, and and then the personality of everyone. Of course, people more
different,
more open, more closed. But in general, we are supposed to be capable to deliver the same time quality of service.
So you like it there, and it's just nerds that are only about this. You're kind of
no, and we have everything also. If you think about EY, isn't it only a security company? We are a global company with more than 250,000 employees around the world. So it's all type of industry. So you also have other people working, doing consultancy with human resources, let's say, that is completely different, or financial sector. So it's good to have like kind of that mix. We have our team, yes, but then you have that mix, and you might ask them how this is. And so having all of this, let's say, a bigger, wider view of how the world is working is very good. And then again, we still have our tools. We're still techie people that we want to hack this thing and learn about these new things. So that's a very good opportunity. And I've been for years now in EY, and that's also the reason I'm still there. It's very nice, a lot of opportunities, a lot of learning, since again it's a global network. So if we don't know it here, maybe somebody in another country knows, and then there's learning opportunities. Very international. I'm an example of that.
You're from Colombia.
Exactly.
So you speak Spanish
Exactly, I speak Spanish, my
now it's
native
English,
language.
but you understand Norwegian. And,
I've been here a while, so.
Is it important for you to know English well and be able to?
Yeah, I mean it's expected in the way that you can communicate in English.
Yeah.
Of course, we're still in Norway. Most of the work, I would say, is in Norwegian. But still, there's international companies from Norway or in Norway that they have such a big network that they want the job being delivered in English, because they expect to share it maybe globally.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of everything.
Very good. So there you have it. And we actually have reached our 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming. Is there anything last thing you would like to add? Because
no, it's the only thing, a short comment on what he said is, security is not a technical issue, right? Technology is part of solving some security issues, so it's not only for nerds. There's a lot of human interactions going on. So I mean,
I think we have to have this topic once more, because it's I think it's a lot more to talk about, and it doesn't go away. So thank you very much for coming. Så slå litt tilbake på norsk igjen da. Neste sending blir altså fredag 8. Og da vi neste måned. Og da skal vi i hvert fall få hilse på de 4 studentene vi har fra Høgskolen Kristiania, og se litt på prosjektet de skal ha hos oss i vår. Så hjertelig velkommen tilbake da, og takk for i dag.